Hey, Canucks fans. Welcome to the Line Change Podcast, a proud member of the Hockey Podcast Network. Be sure to check out the network for your favorite podcast covering your favorite team at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com, the home of hockey podcasts, every team, everywhere. This video is a presentation of DraftKings. The crown is yours. Now our topic today is one we touched on in last night's postgame show, as well as on the next report that came out yesterday. And we're begging the question to the Vancouver Canucks, and more importantly, to the head coach of the Vancouver Canucks, Adam Foote. And that is, what the hell is going on with Aatu Räty? And why is he not playing? It's literally a head scratcher. Why is he not playing? Räty has now been scratched for 3 straight games. It could potentially become 4 games if he's not in the lineup later today against the Boston Bruins. There's obviously a very good chance that he's probably not, just based off of what's been going on in the last 3 games. Now, I asked Trevor Beggs, who, and by the way, shout out to Trevor for being on the postgame show last night. Absolutely was fantastic to have him on. I will definitely be having him on again. We had a great time. We had a great chat along with Gerald, and it was just absolutely fantastic. But I also want to thank him for writing this article on the Daily Hive, which is the basis for this video in particular. And it's basically asking the very same question. We're going to go over the article and then talk about it afterwards. So let me bring up the first part of this article right here. The Vancouver Canucks were led to believe that finally the team is entering a rebuild. However, recent actions suggest that that's a very loose definition. Case in point, Aatu Räty. The young Finnish center has inexplicably been sitting in the press box for the last 2 games, now 3, even with center Elias Pettersson still on the sidelines. Based on practice on Thursday, it looks like Räty is destined to spend another game on the sidelines, which he ended up doing. This scratch would come against his former team, the New York Islanders, no less. It would be one thing if Räty had run cold, hadn't been winning faceoffs, and hadn't been holding his own defensively. None of those have been the case, though. Since December 1st, Räty leads all Canucks skaters with 5 points. Sure, it's not an overly impressive number, especially considering that 3 of those points came in the same game. However, that offensive production is better than any other Canuck skater this month. Not to mention, he had 2 other goals that were disallowed, and one of those probably should have counted. Outside of his production in December, Räty has flat out been the Canucks' most productive player at 5-on-5 this season. And actually, we're going to take a look at a chart that backs that up. Let me bring this up. As you guys can see, Aatu Räty right there, up at the top, and he's actually tied with Filip Hronek for most points, both of them with 11. As you can see there, Räty, 28 games played, 306 minutes and 34 seconds of ice time up until this point, with 3 goals, 8 assists. 4 of them were first assists, and 4 of them were secondary assists for a total of 11 points. And as we mentioned, he is tied with Filip Hronek. And just look at the ice time between Hronek and Räty right here. It's like literally. Trevor even says here, the 23-year-old leads all Canucks with 11 5-on-5 points. That ties him with Filip Hronek for the team lead. However, Räty has played about half as many minutes at 5-on-5. You can see some other players on here. You got Linus Karlsson here on this list, Drew O'Connor, Evander Kane, Brock Besser, Kiefer Sherwood, Connor Garland, Elias Pettersson, and of course, Quinn Hughes. But Aatu Räty leads them all, or is tied with Filip Hronek for most points at 5-on-5 here in the, or so far this season, which is even more proof that Raty should be in the lineup. So there's that. And then let's take a look at this next part. So why the heck isn't he playing? With the Canucks on the road, Anafoot hasn't been asked about it directly. However, he has given some hints as to why. One player whom the Canucks have prioritized before scratching Raty has been David Kampf. The Czech center has averaged 15 minutes and 29 seconds per game this season, while Raty has only surpassed the 15-minute mark in 4 of his 28 games. Foot explained what he liked after yet another pointless performance from Camp on this road trip. And this article, of course, came out before the game last night. He's playing unbelievable defense, Foot said after the Canucks beat the New Jersey Devils last Sunday. He's winning faceoffs. He's out there in key moments. He's doing his job. He also has 0 points in 13 games while playing in a top 6 role. That is now 1 point in 14 games, as, of course, Kampf scored last night for the first time this season and for the first time as a Canuck, finally. If the Canucks are truly in a rebuild, like they alluded to earlier this week, then why is a 30-year-old fringe NHLer playing ahead of a 23-year-old who has earned his minutes? Raty would be justified in being frustrated, while guys like Kampf or even Drew O'Connor, who is currently playing center, are slotted in the lineup ahead of him. Many Canuck fans are frustrated as well, myself included. And if Raty can't crack this Canucks lineup, it does make you wonder what his future is in Vancouver. Now, this is nuts. Absolutely nuts. And I am mind blown by the fact that Raty has sat the last 3 games. It's not like he's played overly bad prior to that. I mean, his last game prior to that was the Buffalo game, and he did not collect any points in that game, but I don't recall seeing anything that was egregious when it came to the way Raty played. So I am having a very, very hard time understanding what Foot is trying to do here, why he's prioritizing a guy like David Kampf. Yes, I will admit David Kampf has played pretty well defensively for the Canucks. He's also really helped out the penalty kill for the Vancouver Canucks as well, which is great, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's like, this guy's 30 years old, and you're putting him out there, putting him in the top 6. Granted, I know Elias Pettersson is still out with a injury, but it also, on that note, it makes you wonder, when Pettersson comes back, when Blueger comes back, where the heck is Raty going to fit in? He probably won't. So play him while you can, and then figure out what you're going to do with him once Pettersson and Blueger both come back. I mean, it's like what the article mentioned. You got freaking Drew O'Connor at center. The guy's a winger. Yes, he's played a little bit of center in his career, just not as much at the NHL level, but it's still ridiculous how you got Drew O'Connor playing in your third line center role when that should be Raty, and O'Connor should be on the wing. Now, before we go over some other things, I'm going to give a big shout out and thank you to my primary sponsor, none other than DraftKings. So, the jaw-dropping moments that make hockey, well, hockey. Experience them all with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Missouri listeners, listen up. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in the Show Me State. New customers, this one's just for you. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN, that's code THPN, to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY, which is 467-369. In Connecticut, Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Pass-through of per wager. Tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which will expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. This is a limited time offer. Copyright of the NHL 2025, all rights reserved. All right. So let's get back to what we were talking about in regards to Aatu Räty. I do want to bring up, and as you can see, Trevor is echoing a lot of the things that most Canuck fans are actually saying themselves. And that's, this kid is young. He's one of your best face-off guys. Granted, so is Kämpf as well. Just the timing of all this is a little peculiar. As it comes only a couple games after the Minnesota game where he had 2 goals. Honestly, it should have been a freaking hat trick. That night, he ended up with 3 points and was a big contributor to the Canucks win that night. Räty played an additional 2 games following that Minnesota game. And as you can see here, we're actually going to bring up Räty's last 5 games played. Right here. Let's bring that up. So Räty played December 2nd against Colorado. He was a +1 and he had an assist and he had 9 minutes and 42 seconds of ice time. On December 5th against Utah, he had a point as well, also an assist, and he was also a +1 with a shot on goal, and he had even lower ice time than the game prior with only 9 minutes and 1 second. Fast forward to the Minnesota game that we mentioned, 3 points. He was a +3, and he had 2 shots on goal, and he had an ice time of 14:09. Fast forward to the Detroit game, the game right afterwards, his 3-game point streak came to an end, and he was a -1 with 4 shots on goal and 13 minutes and 58 seconds of ice time. Then the Buffalo game, he didn't have any points, no shots on goal, and had 11 minutes and 40 seconds of ice time. So you can see a bit of a pattern here, at least towards the start, with his, just a little bit over 9 minutes of ice time. Then you see it increase in that Minnesota game, and then it slightly decrease in the Detroit game, and then it decrease, and then it dips again in the game against Buffalo. Now, when you look at this, you're probably thinking, he was a -1 against Detroit, which was probably a bad thing, and that might be a reason why he may have been scratched for the game after the Buffalo game. Perhaps he played that. Now, granted, I did not watch the Detroit game because of, the score, and I was also happened to be working that day too, so I wasn't able to watch it. But he was a -1 in that game, so if he did have a bad game, so what? The entire team had a bad game. They were shut out. So, for lack of a better term, the team sucked in that game. It wasn't just all on Räty. So that can't be a reason for him being scratched. The game against Buffalo, I don't recall anything egregious in that game. So, and now he sat for 3 straight. Just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Now, Adam Foote would rather put, as I mentioned, a 30-year-old in David Kämpf as opposed to a 23-year-old when this team wants to get younger, which makes me wonder, is there a little rift between management and the coaching staff? Like, is there like a difference of opinion or whatnot? Because remember, Rutherford is the one who said he wants the team to get younger. And yet Foote, as I mentioned, continues to play a 30-year-old over a 23-year-old. And as I mentioned, Kampf has been good defensively, but he's shit offensively. As we talked about, Larry scored his first goal of the season in last night's game, and it took him 14 games to do it. Let's take a look at Kampf's last 5 games and compare him and Raty. So let me bring this up. So as you can see here, game against this one, it starts with the game against Detroit, because obviously Kampf has been playing more games than Raty lately. So here we go with Detroit, a -1, 2 shots on goal, 17 minutes and 15 seconds of ice time. The game against Buffalo, also a -1, 1 shot on goal, 14 minutes and 7 seconds of ice time. So there was a dip in ice time for David Kampf in the Buffalo game. Then you go to New Jersey, also a -1, but then his ice time shot up to 18 minutes and 25 seconds. Game against the Rangers, he had nothing, and he had an ice time of 14:08. No shots on goal in the game against New Jersey and the Rangers. Then you move to the Islanders game last night, where he finally scored a goal and got a point and was a +1 for a change. 1 shot on goal and 16 minutes and 37 seconds of ice time. So you can see a little bit of a pattern here. Look at the plus minus, guys, and all those minuses. 1, 2, 3. All in a row, because it absolutely if you look at Kampf for this season, so 28 games, or no, sorry, not 28 games, 14 games, David Kampf is a -4. Meanwhile, Raty is a +4 in 28 games. Make it make sense, because it absolutely does not make sense whatsoever. It does make me wonder, though. We'll go back to here. It does make me wonder why the Canucks turned down that offer from the Wild back in the summer, when the Wild were offering Marco Rossi for Aatu Räty, the first-round pick, which ended up being Braden Coots, and Artur Silovs. Makes me wonder why the Canucks said no to that, if this is how they're treating Raty right now. Granted, I know Adam Foote does not control like who gets traded, who doesn't get traded. That is Rutherford and Allvin. But I'm sure Rutherford and Allvin have noticed the fact that Aatu Räty has not been playing. Now, I'm not saying the Canucks should have done that particular offer or accepted that particular offer that included the first-round pick. I would have omitted the first-round pick, and I would have done Raty and Silovs for Rossi. I've mentioned that on the channel before. I'm wondering, why did they just do it if Raty's barely going to be playing and we're in December, and the president of hockey ops even says we need to get younger? You have a young 23-year-old who's literally sitting on the bench, or sitting in the press box, not even playing, not even getting the opportunity to play, because you got a guy like David Kampf and a guy like Drew O'Connor taking away his minutes, and it's, excuse my language, but it's bullshit, in my opinion. I don't have an answer as to why this is happening, but it's frustrating. Raty deserves to play. Now, if Foote wants to keep guys like O'Connor and Cam in the lineup, have someone else be the odd man out. Someone like maybe Ogren. I get it. He's new, and they're trying to break him in, but he's waiver exempt, which means he doesn't have to go through waivers to be sent down to the AHL. So why don't you send Ogren down to Abbey, allow him to develop a little more. I know he scored a goal like the other night, or a few nights ago, and he's kind of like the new toy. And same with Bulliam and Rossi. They're the new guys. They're trying to break him in, as I mentioned. But if you send Ogren down, he can develop a little bit more in Abbey. Not to mention, you can have him play with Kramaki, whom he's familiar with the two having been teammates before, and have them get some chemistry or reignite some chemistry between the two, and take it, and then have Raty take his slot, like on the roster, and O'Connor can move back to the wing where Ogren once was, and Raty can be at center. Guys, I'm a genius. I could be a head coach. No, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, this is a head scratcher, and honestly, I think Foote is lucky that the team is on the road right now, or else he'd be getting probably grilled by reporters to the point where he would probably get pretty freaking annoyed. But it's it's absolutely ridiculous that Raty's not playing, and just the fact that the timing of it too, like I mentioned, he goes on that heater prior to the two games that he didn't get points in, where his point streak came to an end. He was on a 3-game point streak, and he had 3 points in that game against Minnesota. Sure, the point streak came to an end, but it happens to everybody. Like, I just don't understand it at all. And it's freaking ridiculous and makes no sense. I hope we get some sort of answer. And I mean, hopefully this game against Boston, he's put in the lineup, and I'll shut up about it. But the fact that it's been 3, almost potentially 4 games that Raty has sat out, not to mention PD's still out with a upper body injury. He's about to miss his 6th or 7th game in a row because of that injury. And yeah, it makes you wonder, when Pettersson comes back, and then once Blueger comes back, what the hell's going to happen to Raty? Like, he's probably not going to get any playing time when those two get back, because PD's going to be your first line center, Rossi's going to be your second line center, Blueger will be your third line center, and probably Sasson will be your fourth line center. So there will be no spots for Raty in the lineup once Blueger and PD are back, which means he's the odd man out. And O'Connor can just move to the wing. Granted, Kampf could potentially be the odd man out as well, unless they decide to keep Kampf in and Sasson out. Although I don't really see that, because Sasson just signed that extension with the Canucks. Then again, you could always move Sasson to the wing and have Kampf as your fourth line center, or you can switch him and Blueger third and fourth. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you guys think this is ridiculous that Aatu Räty is not, in the lineup and has sat for the last 3 games, perhaps even maybe 4 after today, if he's not in the lineup? And are you just as, mind blown as I am, and asking yourself what the is going on with Aatu Räty? So jump down into the comments and let me know your thoughts. I want to give a quick shout out and thank you to my secondary sponsor, Gassy Jack Art, maker of this fine and amazing and spectacular artwork you see behind me, or at least can somewhat see behind me, because there's no lights back there right now. But you guys can go ahead and check them out yourselves at GassyJackArt.com. Perfect Christmas, or even maybe a late Christmas gift. But I believe he still has his buy 2, get 2 free sale going on. So go ahead and check them out. Once again, that is GassyJackArt.com. If you like this video, you can hit that like button. And if you want to stay up to date on all your Vancouver Canucks content, be sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a single video. Join the discussion. Join our Discord. The link is in the description down below. It's completely free to join. We can have more conversations just like this one, talking about like certain players not being put in the lineup, and you can do it all on our Discord. Go ahead and join. Once again, the link is in the description down below. You can find and interact with us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok. We're everywhere. Go ahead and give us a follow on all of our social media platforms. And if you prefer an audio version of this podcast, you can find us on both Spotify and Apple Podcast. On Spotify, feel free to give us a follow as well. Not to mention, leave us a rate and review on either platform. It is, of course, greatly appreciated, and it really helps out the podcast too. But that's going to do it for me. As always, let's go Canucks, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Hey, Campoli missed the puck. Brian Johnson just gets it out. And he's dumped the puck back in. Campoli trying to clear it. Burrow shoots, scores!